From the Bay Area's local news station, we begin now with breaking news.
And our breaking news tonight at 5, we are learning that 21 people aboard the Grand Princess cruise ship have tested positive for the coronavirus. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Vicki Libiakis.
And I'm Catherine Heenan in for Grant Lotus tonight. That is the ship, of course, that was expected to dock at San Francisco's Pier 27 this week. But now we know that is not going to happen, at least not at Pier 27.
Vice President Mike Pence says that the government is working with California on a plan to bring the ship to port. Our KRON4's Dan Kerman is following this breaking news for us tonight. He joins us live from the newsroom with what officials plan to do next. Dan, what are you learning?
Well, what we're finding out is they're planning on bringing the ship into a non-commercial port. We don't know what non-commercial port they're talking about. We don't know if it's in Northern California or Southern California. Those plans are all being worked out, but there have been concerns about bringing it into Pier 27, right in the heart of San Francisco's Embarcadero. Now we know from the Vice President that will not happen.
19 crew members and 2 passengers.
19 crew members and 2 passengers. Vice President Mike Pence confirming a total of 21 people aboard the Grand Princess cruise ship have tested positive for the coronavirus. This after test kits were dropped aboard the ship Thursday. That ship was originally to pull into the port of San Francisco's Pier 27 this week, but the Vice President confirmed that will not happen.
We have developed a plan which will be implemented this weekend to bring the ship into a non-commercial port. All passengers and crew will be tested for the coronavirus. Those that need to be quarantined will be quarantined. Those that require additional medical attention will receive it.
Pence did not specify where that non-commercial port will be, but he did say those crew members needing to be quarantined will likely stay aboard the ship. As for the passengers that need to be quarantined, it's possible they will be transported to military bases.
Well, obviously, there have been bases that have been identified before, Travis, Lackland, and we're working with the Department of Defense to identify the appropriate settings. Again, realizing that we're trying to ensure both the safety of the passengers and the safety of the communities that are around them.
Again, no specifying of where that non-commercial port will be, but things seem to be moving along. Those passengers aboard that ship all being tested, as well as crew members all being tested this weekend, and then quarantining of those that need to be quarantined. Again, we're looking at a total of 21 people aboard that ship, 19 crew members. The Vice President was asked why they think so many crew members, and he pointed out that the current cruise is the Hawaii cruise. The previous cruise was a Mexico cruise, and we know that there was several people aboard that Mexico cruise that came down with the coronavirus, one of whom from Placer County, who died. Live in the newsroom, Dan Kerman, KRON4 News.
Thank you, Dan. And the Vice President also says that all state labs now have testing kits available for use. Pence says between March 2nd and the 5th, the U.S. distributed more than 900 test kits nationwide. Another 200,000 will be sent out tomorrow. And by the weekend, another 1 million tests, he said, will be shipped. Pence said to meet future demand, the president summoned private labs to partner with the government to develop the tests. Pence said LabCorp and Quest, they've signed on to the effort.
The reason that's important, the reason that meets future demand, is because the enormous capacity of these commercial laboratories and others in the country are precisely how we will make coronavirus tests available for your local doctor, available to your pharmacy, and broadly available to the American public.
The number of coronavirus cases, it continues to go up. There are at least 280 nationwide, and the death toll climbed to 14, with all but one of the victims in Washington state. Tonight, we are learning more about what life is like on board the Grand Princess.
A Bay Area woman and her husband are some of the thousands that are stuck in their cabins tonight. They're told to stay inside as the ship coordinates with healthcare officials. KRON4's Teresa Stasio joins us now with more. Teresa?
Well, Denise Stoneham says it's tough staying positive when they feel they are not getting accurate and timely information about what's actually going on. She had no idea crew members and the 2 passengers had tested positive until we alerted them about the impromptu news conference by the White House's task force.
We knew that there were going to be some people on the ship that tested positive, I think with this many people on the ship, it was inevitable. But 21 people is quite a bit of people. Even though you're talking 3,000 people on the ship, it's a little unnerving.
Denise Stoneham and her husband now facing the reality after tests came back showing 21 people aboard the Grand Princess cruise ship floating outside the Golden Gate Bridge have tested positive for coronavirus. Now so many questions.
What were the precautions that they were taking? They were feeding us and giving us our food and our drinks. So, you know, it's unsettling, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here.
Stoneham says that they're waiting to find out when they will all be tested.
I believe that we're all going to end up being tested now, which is fine with me. I'd rather be one of those people that is cleared to go ashore and not be someone that's going to be 14 days infecting my community or anyone in the state of California. So I'm okay with that.
Stoneham, who is from Marin County, says that there are at least 200 people on board from the Bay Area.
There's quite a few people in the East Bay, a couple that we met that are from Petaluma. So I'd probably say a good 200 people that we've run across that are from the Bay Area.
And while they wait and wonder and try not to worry, she has this message.
All I know is to just let everybody out there in the country know, keep your hands washed, keep a distance from people. Any little sign of a cough or a sneeze, even if you think you have a cold, go to your doctor, get tested. Don't think that it's just a common cold, because it may not be. And it's something that's being spread worldwide now. So the more proactive we can be as human beings, I think the better chance we might have.
Certainly some very tough times for she and her husband. Vicki and Catherine.
Thank you, Teresa.
Happening now, San Francisco public health officials are announcing some new health guidelines in light of the coronavirus outbreak.
And this is an ongoing news conference. We're going to listen in.
So now I will go through the recommendations. Number 1, vulnerable populations. Limit outings. Vulnerable populations include people who are 60 years and older, and people with certain health conditions such as heart disease, lung disease, diabetes, kidney disease, and weakened immune systems. For these vulnerable populations, don't go to gatherings of about 50 people or more unless it is essential. If you can telecommute, you should, and avoid being around people who are sick. Recommendation number 2, workplace and businesses, minimize exposure. Suspend non-essential employee travel. Minimize the number of employees working within arm's length of one another, including minimizing or canceling large in-person meetings and conferences. Urge employees to stay at home when they are sick and maximize flexibility and sick leave benefits. Do not require a doctor's note for employees who are sick. Consider use of telecommuting options. Some people need to be at work to provide essential services of great benefit to the community. They can take steps in their workplace to minimize risk. Number 3, large gatherings. Cancel non-essential events. Recommend canceling or postponing large gatherings such as concerts, sporting events, conventions, or large community events. Do not attend any events or gatherings if sick. For events that aren't canceled, we recommend having hand washing capabilities, hand sanitizers and tissues. Frequently cleaning high-touch surface areas like countertops and handrails. Finding ways to create physical space to minimize close contact as much as possible. Number 4, schools. Safety first. If there is a confirmed case of coronavirus at a school, DPH will work with the school and the district to determine the best measures, including potential school closure. Do not go to school if sick. If you have a child with chronic health conditions, consult with your healthcare provider about school attendance. Equip all schools and classrooms with hand sanitizers and tissues. Recommend rescheduling or canceling medium to large events that are not essential. Explore remote teaching and online options to continue learning. Schools should develop a plan for countywide school closures, and families should prepare for potential closures. Number 5, transit, cleaning and protection. Increase cleaning of vehicles and high-touch surface areas. Provide hand washing and hand sanitizers and tissues in stations and on vehicles. Number 6, healthcare settings. Avoid, as possible.
Okay, we are just pulling away from a live press conference. San Francisco public health officials talking about some common sense things. Obviously, everyone is saying wash their hands, use hand sanitizers. They're saying for vulnerable populations, certainly don't, expose yourself unnecessarily to outings, sort of limit your outings. And secondly, businesses, they're also saying you should minimize the exposure.
Yeah, well, they're good basic advice, but they seem to be underlining it a little more intensely right now. Again, non-essential events, cut the red tape at work. If people are sick, your boss should not require a doctor's note. School, obviously, don't send your children if they appear to be ill in any way. And mass transit, unless you mentioned that, but they're talking again, and we've seen some of this on BART, for example, really intense cleaning is being advised. So we'll be hearing more about this, I know.
All right. Meantime, tonight we know that Contra Costa health officials have confirmed 3 new cases of coronavirus in that county. The 3 newly identified patients who have coronavirus, they're currently in isolation inside their own homes. 2 of those patients were passengers aboard the Grand Princess cruise ship, and 1 is known to have had close contact with a COVID-19 patient in another jurisdiction.
And Santa Clara County now reporting 4 new cases of the virus, and that brings the total number of cases there to 24. The South Bay area is the hardest hit. Among the new patients, there are 3 men, 1 woman, we're told, fighting the infection.
KRON4 is your home for continuing coverage of the coronavirus. Keep it here for all the latest information on new cases, on school and business closures, and or advisories, and just basically how to protect yourself and your family. All this information is on KRON4.com. We'll be right back after a quick break.